if we're ready to go, we can talk about it as things kick off. So we have a little bit of downtime right at the start, kind of introduce the story, but wait for it to load. We're going into what's known as the satellite, and we will start a time in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so we're going to wake up. We are a hacker. We are tasked by a basilisk to go to the moon base using a simulator, and we have to find out exactly what happened there. So we do that by going into the simulator, but we have 5 different characters who have their own story. They have their own preferred method of escape. Once we get into it, we can kind of showcase things a little bit more. We can play a little basketball here. But this is different from a lot of games that you're going to find, especially in terms of a speedrun. So there's the moon ship coming in. Is there's not a linear story. There is an overarching story when we come back to the satellite periodically, just kind of touching up on what we've done. But there are 27 objectives called Chasma orders that we have to complete. These range from completing story missions, escaping in different ways, or completing a run in different ways, collecting just a bunch of stuff, installing so many neuromods, things like that. It's just kind of a grab bag. And you have to do all 27 orders in order to beat the game. Once you do that, it'll kick you back out to the satellite, and then the story will conclude from there. So it's a mad dash to get as many objectives done as quickly as possible. But there is a little bit of randomness to it as well. It is a roguelite, so you're meant to die. You're meant to experiment, do a lot of different runs, and really figure things out from there. But we're going to get our simulator parts, and we can talk about it. So in the simulator, there are 5 characters that you get to play as. You have one unlocked from the start, which is kind of your test dummy or tutorial, named Andreas. And every character has their own unique abilities. They have their own story, quests that you have to do, and their escape, which are all part of the quest we'll get into. Andreas is really meant to come in and tell you how to escape. So you can see the 5 characters. Once you do that, you can buy stuff. We don't have anything currently for sale, but we will be buying fabrication plans that we find and chipsets. And because Andreas is supposed to be a tutorial, until you do the first escape, which is the escape pod, you're supposed to be like locked in and limited to what you can really do, and things open up the more you go, the more you progress. As a speedrunner, we don't really want that at all. So we're going to load into the simulator. And immediately we're going to go out of bounds. So we're going to do this trick a couple times, because every time you reset the simulator, everything in the simulator itself gets reset. All the items get respawned, re-rolled in terms of randomness, and all the props go back to where they were. You're going to see this exact same trick multiple times. Flipping out, that is actually the hardest trick that we get to do. We're going to set up for a little bit of a super slide. Hope things don't go wrong. So we're going to line up with certain little marks on the moon, glide into this wall, and get launched way over here. Whee! So there's the big crater, which we don't really care too much about, but it gives you the 3 different areas. And the map's always going to be static. So this is always going to be Pythias, that's always going to be Crew Annex, and that over there is going to be Moonworks. The 3 different areas that we're going to go to get stuff done. There is an escape pod that it wants us to go to kind of over in this direction. And we're going to see that this is going to be kind of locked off, and it's going to look a little bit weird in terms of textures. I think that actually looks like really, really cool, because you're not supposed to have access to this. But once you go inside, everything opens up just like normal, and we can complete a lot of objectives really, really fast. Andreas really is just like the key to unlocking stuff early on. So we can take a look at the Chasma orders now. So yeah, here's all 27 of them. You can see things like find 10 chipsets, fabrication plans, scan so many Typhon, pretty easy stuff. Complete all the stories, escape with all of them. And then the big one here that a lot of people struggle with is escape with 5 crew members in a single run. It is pretty tough, but that's what we're going to rush towards. We also have to unlock all the characters as well. We really, really, really want to find all of our characters, which is what Andreas is going to pretty much do.
soon begin testing of the new Typhon towers.
So every character, like we said, has a preferred escape method. And the only way to unlock their story quest is to escape in that method. So Andreas needs the Mimic Portal. However, the Mimic Portal actually needs other characters to prep his escape for him. So we won't get Andreas' story for a long time. Okay, so we're going to check where 2 bodies are. We're going to check for Vijay, who's in Pythias. He's actually in the best spawn possible. He has 12 spawn points there. Angela is in the worst. So they each have 4 spawn points in the 3 different areas. Like I said, 12 in total. One of the best and the absolute worst. So we'll go collect their bodies here in a second. Let me get some more stuff in Riley's office, another of our playable characters. So we kind of talked about loot tables during the Prey randomizer run. Things are randomized. It's going to be a little different every time you run in, but you're always going to find the same type of loot. So we just got Riley as a new character. Plays her. This guy's a team. So if we look in a medical chest, we're always going to find a medical item, but the medical item that is going to be randomized, stuff like that. So even if we're looking for something in particular, we can kind of check certain spawns to find it. Here's Vijay, another one of our characters. And their bodies will also change based on the simulator run. So in theory, you could check your spawns and be like, oh, these aren't good. I'm just going to re-roll this character, die and restart the sim again. That's really slow for the run, so we just grab them. Angela's in a really annoying spot, but it will work. She's not a playable character, but she does have something really important on her body, and that is the neuromod ability that lets you use the shuttle escape, which is what we're going to use to get out of here. To unlock Joan, the 4th character, the 3rd we're going to unlock with Andreas, but the 4th overall, only gets unlocked once you've done the escape. Or done any escape. Usually it's the pod, but any of them works. She also has a fabrication plan for neuromods on her body, which means we can buy those on the start of a simulator run, which is awesome because neuromods are terrific and wonderful. Okay. So while we're down here, usually this is something I put off for later, but we're already down here, might as well. We have to scan a Weaver at some point in time. If you don't know how neuromod abilities work for the Typhon ones, these are locked off currently on the right-hand side. To unlock what this even is, to see what it is, you have to scan certain targets. And one of the abilities that we need later on, Phantom Genesis 2, is unlocked by scanning a Weaver. And the devs were kind enough to put a static spawn, a lot of enemies down here. There might just be a Weaver. Okay, there is. So this is a little containment area, and there's a Weaver at the very top of this map, as well as a Nightmare right there. So you just grab that. You don't have to go looking for one, because you may not find one. Okay. So now all Andreas needs to do for his run to be considered complete and we can move on to other characters is essentially escape. But there is one Chasma order, which is kind of a silly one, but it gives us money by doing it. Which is to go to, I actually don't know where it is on the list. You have to visit all 3 areas, Tyranix, Pythias, and Moonworks, at least one time. So even though we don't need to go to Moonworks for anything to complete this run, we're going to go over there just to get that Chasma order done. And
so
another fun...
You mentioned that the characters have like preferred escape methods, but like you can get out with any method?
Yes. So the only reason preferred escape methods matter is that's how you unlock their story. So once you've done the escape, you can come back in and start their story objective, which is another Chasma order. Other than that, it doesn't matter. For the 5-man escape, you can escape via any means.
Good afternoon,
we're basically here. Check for a couple of things. So the way the overarching story works in the satellite is based on how many Chasma orders you actually complete. So there are certain times we want the game to pull us out. So we want so many chasm orders completed, so many runs deep. That doesn't always work out that way, depending on your fabrication plans and chipsets, which are just randomized. If you find duplicates, that can be a real pain in the butt. But even if that happens, we have reroutes. I have a 7-page notepad flowchart of how to get through this worst case scenario. So we should be good. This route was actually developed with like a GDQ marathon experience in mind. There is a little bit of a faster route, but it's really risky in terms of you can come in, hope you get what you need, if not, reset sort of mentality, and that's just not a fun way to run. But just checking a couple more things of loot, and then taking the shuttle out of here. There's the shuttle, there is the mass driver escape, there is the mimic portal, the escape pod, and then Riley has her subconscious one, which is only an escape she can use. Okay. So to use the shuttle escape, we need piloting, which we got off of Angela's body, which is why it's so important. Get this.
Now there's this cool cutscene.
Lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
So because I eventually need to replay as Andreas and have so many neuromods installed overall, I'm just going to dump the ones I have remaining onto just random abilities. So, go on. Eventually, we will get the ability to store items, neuromods, control modules, that kind of stuff between characters and between runs. But the first couple, we just use them as we go. So first, big escape. This is now going to unlock Joan, Vijay, and Riley as playable characters. The way to unlock Claire, the 5th character, we actually have to do Vijay's story. So that's what we're kind of rushing next in terms of overall progression. So we're actually going to reset the sim. And now, in order to do Vijay's mass driver, we actually need to bring in Joan to ensure the fact that we get anti-rads. So we can give her some ammo and then a bunch of neuromods. Anytime Joan comes into the simulator, she'll come in this time and then one more in just a few runs. She is very, very, very vital for the remaining parts of the seed. She is the engineer, so she has the ability to repair doors. And kind of like the randomizer, doors can be broken, locked, or just good to go. So if doors that normally are open or in a locked state are just broken, we need Joan to fix them before any other characters come into the sim. Because we reset everything, all the loot's going to be respawned, re-rolled, and the chair put back in its place. A little bit of a tricky thing. Honestly, the hardest part of MoonCrash is this. It does not like to stay up there at all. Moon physics, how do they work? You might be asking why you just run through the crater now that the tutorial part's over. It's because we don't really have a good way of EMPing the gates. There's a lot of Typhon gates in this, so if it detects a Typhon, it locks down the area until they're dealt with. And that's really slow. So eventually, not even eventually, on this run, we're actually going to set up the ability to buy control modules so that we can just EMP gates. Oh, no you don't. This chair is being a fine fellow. Okay. We're actually not going to do the same slide we did with Andreas. We just need to go to Crew Works, which is right down here. Right, this little shuttle. So Joan's preferred escape is the shuttle, which is why we're going over here. But we need to find a trauma center. Trauma centers are guaranteed anti-rads, which for the mass driver escape with Vijay coming up, we have to have an anti-rad, 5 things of food, and then 5 drinks that are non-alcoholic. And the food and drinks are really, really easy to find. The anti-rad is another problem. So Joan's going to come in, make sure that we can get to anti-rads by getting to a trauma center, and then leaving.
That's interesting. They specify non-alcoholic.
Yeah, because you're supposed to like survive in space With the mass driver, you get, like, shot out of a cannon. So it wants to make sure you can survive, and alcohol is not great for survivability. So a static spawn here is the escape pod navigation chip. We need that later on for Claire's escape. And then this control module is very, very, very vital to the rest of the game. So we're going to buy an ability known as Reverse Engineer, which only she has. Going to give her the shuttle launch and then repair one. What Reverse Engineering allows you to do is take an item in your inventory and then reverse engineer it, and that's going to make it a fabrication plan. You can only do this with one item at a time. So for the rest of the game, it's going to act like I have a control module fabrication plan, and we will be buying tons of them. Okay, so we're looking for one of the 2 guaranteed spawns at trauma centers. So these always spawn. There's 4 different rooms that they can spawn in. 2 of them are trauma centers. We can check it with this supply status. So there's one in Crater and there's one in Pythias. Pythias is actually kind of annoying. But that works. They just kind of shuffle around. There's one in the Crater and one of the 3 areas. Nice. Lovely. All right, let's go over to Pythias. The problem with Pythias is it's one that can actually be locked by a key card and not just open or broken. Let's see. I believe I know where the key card is. Hey, that's an error mod. Like that. So the spawn point for this one's always going to be behind this door, and it is just broken. That's awesome. We're going to repair that. We don't have to play as Joan too much longer, but we are going to spawn a medical operator, so we don't have to have this concussion any longer.
Hello, nice to see you. Diagnosing bruising, abrasions, fatigue. Nothing like fair.
So trauma centers guarantee you an anti-rad drop, which is really, really nice. You can see it in our inventory there. Now, we don't have the operator to actually pass things to our next character. We get that in just a little bit. But what I can do, I'm going to drop it in Kranix, is I can just drop it on the map. And then if I need to with Vijay, I can run over and pick it up. So things left on the floor stay on the floor, which is awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, can the anti-rad transfer between people? But I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So we will get an operator where we can just place things in, and then when the next one comes in, you can spawn the operator and just grab it. That's something that gets unlocked with progression. Now with Vijay, we're still going to check some medical spawns along the way and hope we find anti-rads. But we know for certain that if we don't find any, we can always go and pick those up. Okay. So Joan at this point is pretty much done. Just going to check a couple more spawns, see if we can find some more neuromods. So we actually just found the control module fabrication plan, which is really interesting. That means I could technically reverse engineer something else. I just don't really have anything on me that I would want to reverse engineer, sadly. Anti-rads, if you find that as a fabrication plan, is actually really, really, really nice. Recycling grenades be very useful as well. So this is Joan's preferred escape. So next time we bring her in, we can do her story quest and begin that process. But now we need to bring in Vijay. He's going to have a pretty short run. Only needs to do his escape. We're just going to give him 1 neuromod, and that's it. Okay, we didn't find any chipsets useful. The only chipset that's really useful in MoonCrash is Propulsion Gen 1. It allows you to boost with your propulsion, but you're not always guaranteed to find propulsion either. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And it's not one you can reverse engineer, unfortunately. Okay. So luckily for Vijay, this chair is already up here. We don't have to go through this again. Not yet. And he's going to go straight to Moonworks, the third of the areas we haven't been to yet. And with his neuromod, we're going to buy conditioning, which allows him to run a little bit faster. At the moment, we don't have a lot of money to spend. We can't buy a ton of neuromods to get mobility 1, mobility 2, something like that. If I find a bunch, I can buy those, but for now, conditioning is a cheap, fast upgrade. Just pop up through the floor, handy dandy. Once again, if you missed the Prey randomizer run, the bottom white bar is our stamina. So as we run, it depletes. But if you slide, you keep your momentum the same speed, but it doesn't take any stamina. So you're going to see me slide a lot. And if you see the top bar, the big top white bar, that is propulsion. Vijay is the only character that spawns with propulsion. It's just like a thing for his character. But we might find more. Okay. We're going to grab 3 drinks. We're going to check a couple of medical spawns, look for anti-rads. Grab some extra stuff along the way. Just a lot of med kits. That's something. I'm just going to leave that be. Things are randomized, but we're just checking where medical items would typically spawn. Because that's where you're going to find anti-rads if you're going to find them. There's just so many neuromods, it's crazy. Or not neuromods, but medkits. Alright, so it looks like we're not going to get anti-rads along the way, which means we can just pop over to Koreanics, pick those up. Before we do that, we're going to grab the rest of the drinks we need. And then over here is going to be our food. Going to grab all of it. Okay. Another medkit. Wow, really? No love from Prey tonight. So the tram is by far the nicest way to get around the base. It takes you between the 3 different areas. Here in just a little bit, though, it will start having problems where you have to repair it, which is something you have to factor in who you bring in, when, and your overall progression. And then eventually the power will go down. So there's our anti-rads, pick those up, and we are back to Moonworks. And things are just supposed to get harder as you go. Speaking of which, in the top right-hand corner, not at the moment, but once we're back in, you'll see corruption. I'll say corruption level 1, and it'll be a little white bar filling up. The longer you spend in the simulator between characters, it will get harder and harder. It will also affect your neuromods. So at the moment, corruption level 1 means we need hacking 1, repair 1, leverage 1. If that goes to corruption level 2, then we need hacking 2 for anything, repair 2 for anything, stuff like that. So if we take a really, really, really long time, we actually have to find more neuromods and take even longer. And then if you get to corruption level 5 and let that run out, then the simulator just kills you and makes you restart. We should never run into those situations, though. We will spend some time in corruption level 2 and a little bit of time in corruption level 4 due to some quest stuff.
Oh, do you just like skip 3 in the?
Yeah, Andreas' storyline will put you on corruption level 4. which is really fun. But yeah, it's just a thing for his story for whatever reason. So to start the mass driver escape for Vijay, his preferred method, which will unlock his story, and that's also control mod or neuromod. So we can buy mobility 1. We're going to buy leverage 1 and shuttle for later. We don't need those on this run, but on the second run, it'll be useful. We just have to come up to this terminal and activate the mass driver, then run down, put our items in the thing, and then we're good to go.
This isn't gonna work.
Also, there's some great dialogue in here if you listen to it. Normally I say it, but it may not be appropriate, so.
Range of tolerance. Human range. Jesus, Jordan.
So
We're not clowns in a circus cannon. Hey, what if those
Harry, you cannot lose your shit on me right now, okay? The shuttle's gone. Escape pods are effed.
Okay, so this is the mass driver. We started it. Put in our food and drinks and our anti-rads.
We're gonna climb into that crate, and that gun is gonna shoot our asses home.
Okay, I was missing one thing of food. So you do have a timer once you start the mass driver. In terms of getting down here, it's like a mad dash. If for whatever reason you forgot one of the things you need, you're not going to be able to get it. You're just going to die, which is really unfortunate. There's no checkpoints in MoonCrash, no proper ones, because it's a roguelite. It's expecting you to die and restart sims, so you don't really have that safety net of being able to make hard saves to an extent. There's some shenanigans around that, but hey, VJ just did the mass driver, unlocks a story. Now we get this little cutscene. We've progressed through enough chasm orders where the game says, hey, it's time for you to learn a little bit more.
M13, this is Basilisk. Don't let those virtual deaths get you down.
Also, the game just assumes you've died. It's real nice of it, you know.
Don't forget to keep checking them.
Don't feel bad about all those deaths that you definitely had. We can get a little workout in. Some moon curls. This is definitely like 500 pounds, by the way.
I think it would be funnier if they'd been like, hey, how did you make it through that without dying?
Yeah, it's kind of weird there's not like a different option for that, but
yeah,
that's pretty much all we get for this one. Eventually, we will have to do stuff around this little base. It's just kind of an introduction. Okay, so now we're going to prepare for the 5-man escape on our third run. You might be thinking, you don't even have the 5th character yet. And that's the fun part about it. So we're going to restart the sim. We're going to bring in Joan once again. And she has a lot to do. So much so that she needs 7 pistols. Explain why in a little bit, but give her some ammo. I do have a bit of a shopping list for the stuff. We need 3 control modules and 3 neuromods. Okay. There we have Weaver. So when we scan the Weaver with Andreas way back, typically we'd scan the Weaver with Joan because she has to go over the Pythias anyways. Now the reason you need 7 pistols, which seems crazy, you don't have 7 arms, why do you need 7 pistols? Joan has the ability to repair stuff that uses spare parts. You spawn with 6, but there is the potential you need to repair a couple of different things, some broken doors and the Mimic Portal for Andreas. And the best way to get spare parts is by getting an ability called Disassembly, which allows you to disassemble things in your inventory to get spare parts. And pistols are really, really, really cheap. So if we happen to need spare parts, we just disassemble a few pistols and we're good to go. So the last time we're going to set up this stool. Now we're going to check our map to see where the train went down. So it went down in Moonworks. So we're going to make our way over there. Now, at the start of every simulator run that we do, the train will be down. So we're going to go fix that real quick, because that is really important to have up and running. So this is where luck kind of becomes a real big factor in terms of the speedrun. Because of how she needs to get through the level and do all the things she needs to do. Where the train goes down, like Moonworks, is just terrible luck out of the 3. So if we went to Crew Annex, then we can start our story. If we go to Pythias, we can repair the portal. Moonworks really doesn't get us anything. We just have to go here, repair it, and then go start the other stuff. So ultimately it doesn't really matter if we're just trying to get through it. So now Joan and Vijay are going to swap escapes because they've already gotten their preferred escape and unlocked their story. It doesn't matter how they escape, and it just works out that once their story's done, they're in opposite areas. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to check for medical spawns here. We're going to look for anti-rads along the way. A lot of medkits once again. Okay, interesting. I don't know what it is with medkits, but I'm not going to complain. They are nice. So if we don't find any, once again, we can just open up a trauma center for them guaranteed, which is why we might need some extra spare parts. Rounds. We're going to use our psychoscope that we clearly have and zoom in. Okay, there's nothing over there. So even if you don't have the psychoscope, you can still like squint your eyes, I guess. Look a little bit further. So my current Typhon ability is the operator, which we were mentioning before. I can open him up. He doesn't run away from me. And put whatever I want inside of him. And instead of just dropping it on the floor, my next character, every character we have gets this operator ability. And I can spawn him right off the start. Oh, electric floors, that's great. Get our drinks. Get that banana. Okay.
Is that floor random as to whether it's electric or not?
Yes. So the environmental effects are really like the big random things, that and enemies. And those also become more abundant and deadlier with every corruption level going up. So corruption level 2 is going to have harder enemies. It's going to have more environmental hazards. So another great use of control modules and why we bring so many is we can repair the train that way. If you shoot them when they're on the floor, it causes an EMP, so you can shut down gates, you can repair the train, you can repair power to the place. They're just one of, if not the best items besides neuromods, which are hard guaranteed. All right, we're going to go over to Crew Annex so we can start her story.
Good afternoon,
Okay, so this is a delay loop. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. We're going to take this, and when we use that, it's going to take some of the corruption level off. So it's just kind of a way to prevent the game from getting harder if you find yourself in here for too long. Oh, we have not found the trauma center. We can check where that is. We also need to check where the escape pod is. That's going to be Claire's method of escape once we bring her in. It's in Crater. Okay. You know that for later. Pythias. Okay, we'll grab the one in Pythias. I have not found one yet. So every story objective is marked by this ink brain. And they get very violent very fast. It's gonna pull that out real quick. Don't mind me.
Poor guy. Oh.
I don't know what he did, but
Oh my God, is he alive?
it's kind of brutal.
Please tell me he's alive. Oh my God, I can't have done this.
Joan, please stop. You know I can't tell you.
No, please. You have to tell me something. They said you could fix him. I can't have done
Yeah,
this.
so while this dialogue's playing out, we're gonna set up 2 of these chests.
Even with the reduced gravity, the moonstone that fell.
And we want them to be looted so that they're actually
Pretty
open.
big, Joe.
Makes them a little bit bigger.
I can't tell you anything except we're going to do our best.
Typically, once you start this, you need to
Okay.
Tomorrow, let us work on him.
find a key card and get your way into a room that has a statue piece so you can repair the statue. That's a little slow and can be a little bit random. So instead, we're going to go outside the map by stacking these lovely things. We got pushed into here. Okay, medkit. We're going to drop one of these. Dropped all of them. Okay, interesting. Nice. Sometimes you'll just get pushed straight through the ceiling. Other times you need to like nudge yourself with big items. Okay. I mentioned there wasn't really checkpoints in this. If you go into a new level, you get like a soft checkpoint. If you do a save exit, you get a soft checkpoint. So if your game crashes or you need to quit for the night, then you don't have to like lose tons and tons of progress, right? So this is a little bit of a dangerous out of bounds. If we happen to fail this, getting back in, because it is kind of hard to see, it is possible I fall in the void here. Then I can just Alt F4 the game and boot it back up to get right back to that save exit. But I found where I need to be. We just got to clip in, get the statue piece, and hey, anti-rads. That's really convenient. Let's go. Actually, some good luck.
At least that out of bounds is a lot nicer than the Prey ones. You know, like glue clip back inbound.
Yeah, so there's like a little painting that you can grapple over, which is really, really nice. Okay. So all we have to do for Joan, we're going to use that delay loop real fast, just take down the corruption level. It doesn't matter, but we have it, might as well use it. So we now need to go over to Pythias so that we can repair the portal for Andreas. The portal has to be repaired and also hacked with Claire before it can be used. Makes it a real pain, casually, like to figure out how you're going to route in both Joan and Claire and get them to where they need to be. Some fire, another little environmental effect you can have. Actually, I use this terminal to open this door. Run past these mimic friends. Oh, I was really on fire today. Okay. So we already had to open a door, so we actually do need to buy dismantle. I think I called it disassembly before. I like calling it disassembly. But we're just going to dismantle a couple of these for spare parts. Figure this on up and run over to Moonworks. In Moonworks, all we need to do is repair the statue that we got the piece for, and then do the mass driver escape. So we're going to run to the top, start it up, and then make our way down to the bottom. And Joan 2, probably the most important character run is over, thankfully. Not too bad.
Yes, I'm noticing by how slow this corruption is going up that, man, they really do not expect you to be sprinting through these fast, huh?
Yeah, they're pretty lenient on your time. When you have to do the 5-man, it does get a little risky in terms of getting corruption. We will hit 2 unless we find another delay loop. 2's pretty much expected for the 5-man once you get the Claire. Hack 2's almost always a given. Sometimes you can get away with it with just hacking 1.
Warning, flooding and electrical damage
But
detected.
ever seeing corruption 3 is you're going real slow. All right, time for the mass driver escape. Now, unlike Vijay, I do not have propulsion. Oh, another thing of anti-rads, sure. Why not? So this becomes a little bit more tricky. Mainly on the fall back down, because we can't just propulsion to stop fall damage.
Some in the chat's asking, does sliding in this game make you faster? I actually
No,
don't know.
You go the same speed as running, but that white bar at the bottom that's currently filling. The stamina does not go down when sliding. So instead of just like waiting for it to refill a lot, we just slide quite a bit.
That makes sense.
It also just looks really cool. Okay. But I have propulsion to make the jump over to the window, so we're just going to EMP the gates. Luckily, I had a grenade. Sure.
Typhon material detected. Destination. Low Earth orbit. Please ensure
All right, run back down. So instead of just using propulsion or an ability to stop our fall damage, we're just going to grab a ledge, try not to break our legs. Okay. This is where we start using the operator. So I have a couple extra neuromods I want to leave behind and a couple extra things. Nothing too big. Is that 5 food? Can't count. That is not. That is 4. There we go. Hey, buddy. Push me around. So yeah, all of these items will be saved for my next character. Just makes our little shopping list shorter. The next character coming in, Riley, actually does need 6 neuromods, so I don't have to buy any of those. I just have them already. We should get a cutscene here unless we didn't find enough chipsets and fabrication plans, which I think we did. If we don't, we do a little bit of a reroute, and we bring in Vijay first. Which could be spicy if it happens. Let's see. Did we get a cutscene? We did not. Okay, Vijay's coming in. Vijay's is coming in for his story. We already bought most of the stuff we need for him, so we're going to buy him a control module, and that's just about it. We're probably short on the chipsets, if I had to guess. We found a lot of duplicates along the way. And this is important because the cutscene that we get is going to start powering down one of the areas, and it's also going to shut down the train again. So we want to fix that with Riley. We're just going to use Vijay to run through. All Vijay has to do is do his story quest line and then use the shuttle to escape. So we're going to go straight over the crew annex. Going out of bounds. A nice slide over here. Sometimes when you're sliding, I'm not going any faster, but I just don't have to run. You can get a little bit of speed. But every now and then, it is a little bit faster than walking. But for the most part, it's just a thing to preserve momentum. Okay, crew annex. It's going to be pretty short. The reason getting his story done so quickly is very important, is it is the key to unlocking Claire, our 5th and final character. So in order to do the 5-man escape, we do need the 5th character. Surprise, surprise. There's usually a poltergeist in the bathroom, but I guess we won't see him today. Just gonna grab the pink brain real quick.
The guy in the bathroom is a sentence out of context that just woof, having a rough time.
It's a great plot to like a B horror movie.
Yeah.
So this is where Vijay kind of finds out that Claire is actually a Chasma spy. She's not a good person.
This is Director Yu.
We're supposed to go deal with her.
Where are you? It's not the Typhon. It's Claire Witten. She's a Chasma spy. She's been here long enough to have her hooks into everything by now. You have to track her down. Do not let her get off the base. Do you understand? I can't be distracted by this right now. Handle it, Bhatia. I'm counting on you.
So the nice thing with Vijay is we actually have mobility 1 bot for him, so he runs a lot faster, and he also has propulsion, which means he can go even faster. Propulsion, you have it, is faster than walking or even sprinting. If you get really, really lucky, you have mobility 2, propulsion, and the propulsion chipset, and it's so nice. You run so quickly. Unfortunately, it does not look like the seed's going to give that to us, which is fine. However, we're going to head over to Moonworks into Claire's hideout, so we can start dealing with her.
Warning. Flooding and electrical damage detected.
There's a little bit of a trick we can do here. We'll see if it happens. It's not super important that we get it, but it's a little bit of a time save. So there's a little bit of an ambush. There's 2 operators. We're going to jump away as we hit transfer so we don't get hit by the poison. And now we're locked into Claire's hideout until she's done talking. Okay, got that first try. Nice. So if we get that up there, which is a lot harder than it looks, we can kind of do the same trick as the stool and get out of bounds. Allows us to make our way back to the train a little bit sooner. However, we can't leave the level until the quest updates. It's not a huge time save, but it does save the time from walking from our hideout back over here once it's done, and we're going to go to Crew Annex as soon as we get the marker, which should be another like 10 seconds or so. Let's see. Any second. There we go. You're supposed to get hit by the neurotoxin, and you either have to go deal with that, and you get a little timer on the left to get cured, and then stop her from escaping, or at least deal with her escaping. We didn't get hit with toxin at all, so it's not something we have to worry about.
That's kind of funny that you can just like dodge it and that it's not, you know, guaranteed, I guess, or like required.
It's real nice though, the way it works. So Vijay, all he has to do is either activate or deactivate the remote detonation. We're going to deactivate it because it's faster.
Vijay, don't.
And that's going to let her just escape out into the world
Sticking around like a
and
boy to mop
go
up the
through
mess.
the shuttle.
You should be on a pod, like me, like she is.
So there's Claire unlocked.
Good boy. You made the right
If you
choice,
activate the
Vijay.
remote detonation, then you have to wait for the whole thing to play out where
I'll look
blowing
you
up. And then
I'll make you another offer you can't refuse.
that just takes a long time. Okay. We're going to drop off some more stuff and take our shuttle out of here. At this point, we are hard guaranteed to get the cutscene. If somehow that didn't happen, then I will be shocked. These are just done based on certain percentage Chasma orders completed. Completing this one should push us up to that threshold. It is possible to skip cutscenes by stacking them. We actually did that on the first one, because we did so many different Chasma orders with Andreas on the first run. We bypassed one of the cutscenes and went straight to the second one. We'll talk about it later as well. We'll skip the final one by purposely delaying one.
Hello?
This is where stuff starts happening on the satellite. The gravity kicks off and we gotta go fix it.
Damage to oxygen systems is minor, and it is
There's not a lot of these, but
so gravity loss is probably the more annoying bit at the moment, but I'm told you can run a diagnostic that will recalibrate the stabilizers. You'll find the interface behind a hatch in the ceiling.
Shape said, the devs a lot of restraint to not color Claire de Lune.
The cause was small debris impact.
a little spin
That's
the
really
wing.
good.
We're going to be fine. Basilisk out.
Now we're just going to repair this, get gravity back in the satellite while they talk.
Okay, Teddy. Well, it's just a bit cold. Space is cold, business is cold. He signed up for this. He's a hacker. It's not like he picked a safe job, right? So he's probably lived twice as long working for us as he would have otherwise. I suppose.
What's going on? We can play a little bit more toilet paper basketball.
At least their future will be decent. That's right. And thanks
Nice
to
little-
Module 13, they're going to be fine. Which is what
That's
he
the way to kill time.
what he wants.
And also,
Come on
a
now.
little bit of
If he
torture.
down, he
You're feeling up to it.
doesn't already know. I suppose. You're probably right. Right. So you're good? You can handle this? Yes, I'm good. You're right. Brilliant.
Is that close enough? No.
You're the right handler.
I was wondering what you were talking about.
Thanks.
Gonna tell us eventually. Where are those mimics? Where are they?
What is... Test. Is this on? Module 13.
Yeah, they're just about done with their dialogue, and we can go right back in. Climb back in the lovely chair. And now we're going to bring in Riley for the first time. Now, Riley's a little bit different because she has to restore the power, so she's going to be the only character we're going to take through the crater, running past the moon shark. So we should have enough neuromods, and we need to buy some extra control modules. She will also get propulsion along the way. That's how you're originally supposed to find out about it. But because of that cutscene, the train's going to go down again, so we're going to have to go repair that as well. And then she has a very unique escape. She's the only one that can do it because she's the only one that has Phantom Genesis 2. Or will have Phantom Genesis 2, I should say. Let's see where the train went down. And Moonworks, okay. So we're going to go to the middle of the station, see if any of the power to the different places is down. There is a small chance, a very small chance, that none of the power actually did go down. And this is just like a safety check. And then we're going to go repair the train so we can go over to Pythias. Okay.
Listen to me. You need to stay off the lunar surface. I repeat, do not step foot on the regolith. There's something underneath.
Yeah, that's the moon shark.
It's drawn to movement.
You walk on the moon surface, it'll be drawn to your location and come fight you. It's pretty deadly. You don't really want to mess with it.
Round up anyone else you can find. Warn them.
So you can tell if power's down at a place because it's going to have a little bit of a dim like LED outside of it. So you can kind of quickly check without actually coming down here. So we know Moonworks is down. Bunch of cystoids. Woo. Some radiation, that's scary. Don't get radiation poisoning. We're going to repair this real quick. Sure. Take that. So the scary noises and flashes that are going to happen is us going up to corruption level 2. It's so scary. For us, that's pretty much to be expected. It's not something we have to worry too much about. Corruption level 3 would be kind of frightening, but not the end of the world. Because we don't want to deal with the moon shark and all the other hyphen. We're just going to EMP the gate. Keep on running through. We don't need to check anything. We don't need to look for anti-rads or supplies. We just have to literally run to the train.
Is there ever a route where you would like reset the sim? I guess like more than you already do, just to avoid corruption level 2.
No, because we have to do the 5-man escape here. We have to just spend X amount of time in the sim itself.
And there's just not a way to dodge that.
Yeah, if you find delay loops, then you can get around that. But this route's pretty much assuming that's not going to happen. This route assumes you get the worst luck possible in terms of neuromod plans, control modules, chipsets, that kind of stuff. And if you happen to get good luck along the way, then you can just speed it up. But I have no food. That's a little scary. This train's actually not even down because control modules are gone. It's just down because it wants to be, which is always funny to me. Like, it works perfectly fine, but the game just says, hey, this is not working properly. It's a bit sad. But hey, we gotta keep our extra control modules. All right, over to Pythias. We're going to run up to her office and start her quest line, which is going to give us the quest of needing Phantom Genesis 2. which is an ability that we can buy. So we scanned a Weaver earlier. And then we have to go use that on a dead body, which is going to have 8 possible spawn locations, 4 in Crew Annex, 4 in Moonworks. Some are awful, some are not. We'll see. Usually all the different items that you need to go find, the different bodies, and like the toy later on, it kind of balances out. Sometimes you get really, really good luck. Sometimes you get the worst luck, and then somehow it always ends up being middle of the road. Pick up some extra stuff.
Hello.
Okay, so here we're going to buy Phantom Genesis 2. Now that terminal is going to say we can't copy over this data. Go scan the body, and it's going to Moonworks, okay? That's fine. We just really hope it's not at the top of Moonworks. That is the worst. So we just don't want to see a quest marker pointing upwards. That means we have to go where the mass driver starts. That's a heck of a climb. Of course. Of course it's up there. Why would it not be? So yeah, there is a spawn like right here in this room, which is just really, really, really nice. Also need to get this on hotbar. Luckily, we don't have to like kill or interact with the Typhon anyway. We just have to spawn it in and then scan it, which you can do from pretty far away. Looking for just a little bit of food in case the worst happens. Here's our body, Phantom Genesis it. Should be able to get the scan before it even notices that we're here. And we're out. Okay. Now we go back to Pythias and then to Riley's office. From there we can pretty much just finish everything for Riley, which is really nice. Very quick. Escape for her. So once again, this is going to unlock her story quest line, which is even shorter. She has a very, very quick story. It's kind of pathetic, actually. I wish it was longer and more involved, but hey, helps out with the speedrun, so I can't complain there. Now I'm going to take a second to check our chasm orders, see if we're still missing our chipsets. We're kind of getting towards the end of things. Okay, we got them. If I was still missing some and really, really need to find them, I can go out of my way to certain locations to get some. But I don't need to do that. We are all good. Only things I have to worry about are the typical stuff that I need to worry about. So that's awesome. Once you come back from scanning the Phantom, you do spawn a voltaic enemy up here by the escape, which is just annoying. Voltaic enemies are the ones that shoot lightning out, and they are just obnoxious on every account. Okay. That's why we bring a lot of ammo. With our scan in place, we can just go ahead and copy data to the operator, and it's going to go through a little bit of a cutscene before we can do the escape itself. So we're going to check a couple extra things and then give up the remaining stuff that we don't need. So 7 neuromods, don't want to transfer, okay. 7 and 4, got it. So eventually we're going to sit in this chair, which has a nice built-in back massager, a little acupuncture even. Love it. And if you don't want this game ruined for you, do not look at the dots on the floor. Don't do it. Don't look at the dots.
You won't be able to
Just
reach me.
don't look.
Hopefully, we'll see each other Earthside.
They are definitely not misaligned.
Goodbye, cousin.
Nope, not at all. Okay.
Oh no, I was wondering what you were talking about. Now it. Oh. Dude, now I can't unsee it.
You know you've played a game too much when you start noticing that little textures on the floor are misaligned. You're like, you know what? Maybe I've put too much time into this.
Maneuver 465, Data Vault class operator. Capture and transfer complete. Additional instructions found. Starting procedure. Erase u.bat. Destroying source subject.
So that's Riley, currently getting a little fried. Turns out that her chair was rigged up to kind of self-destruct instead of just copying it over. Okay, so another cutscene. This one's a little bit of just wait for dialogue to play out. Don't have to really do anything here. And then we get to bring in Claire for the first time, who is pretty cool.
Peter, are you there? Look, I need to talk to you. Everything passing between the module and Chasma is logged, so I know the channel was open.
Gonna do a little bit of a cleanup. You know, this place is looking a mess. Just throw all of this in the corner. There's apple core over there. Just make it look a little bit nicer, you know?
And many of us are obligated to the company now in difficult ways.
Our weights are super strong.
This a different color for you, but if you help me, if you finish what the company is asking you to do, I will personally provide you with an out. If you don't trust me, I don't blame you. But if you don't trust me now, both of us will be in the same shit. I leave it to you to decide. I have to go now.
No.
Please consider what I've said, Peter. For you and me.
This is Basilisk trying to sweet song us, being like, hey, you know, just keep doing what you're doing and I'll help you out. I promise. I pinky promise. Definitely won't break this. Nope, not me. We go back in the chair. So Claire's going to need the escape pod chip that we picked up way long ago on Joan 1. The first one of Joan. If you ever hear me say a name and then a number, that's the amount of times we've brought that character in. We left the pistol inside. We can buy 8 neuromods. Great. That is wonderful. We need the escape pod navigation chip. And that is going to be about all she needs. Double check my math. Yes. Okay. So all Claire has to do, a very simple run, is she's going to go over to Pythias to hack the portal that we already repaired. So Andreas can come in and escape that way. And then run to the escape pod, which is her preferred escape method. After we do this 5-man escape, so Claire and then Andreas left to go on it. All we have to do is come in with the remaining characters that need their stories. So Riley, Claire, and Andreas will have to come back in. Oh, while this is going on, we're going to buy hacking 1, hacking 2. And I don't know how to do math. Okay. Oh, I know exactly why, because I didn't pull from the operator. Aha. Okay, we're going to try to do this slide. It's a little bit harder when there's dust, which is a random thing. We might just have to run this one. If I can find my setup real quick. It is pretty hard to see. We need to be here, I think. Hey, I found it. That setup is just to get over here with the slide. Ooh, almost went off the map. So Claire has mobility too, which is really, really nice. Goes so fast. Anytime you have a mobility 2 on a character and then you go to a character that has no mobility at all, you really feel it. Like once you've played a game at 120 FPS and you go back down to 30, you're like, oh boy, this is a struggle. It's not fun. She also has the handy dandy psychostatic cutter, this lovely purple blade. It's so cool. I love this thing so much. All right, keep on running.
Can you give that to anyone else? Because that's pretty tight. Or is it specifically hers?
You can find the fabrication plan for it, or just find it around the thing. So Vijay like spawns with propulsion every time. She always spawns with this.
Okay.
Okay, so we did our hacks. Required hacking tubes. We're on corruption level 2, and now we go to the escape pod. Just back in the moon base. Just look how fast I'm running through every section of this. It's crazy. So this is setting up Andreas, who's our 5th and final character for this run to come in. Literally all he has to do is spawn in, make his way to Pythias, use the portal, and he's out. The 5-man escape is very close to being done. And then we just have to do a little bit of story cleanup, and we are all done with MoonCrash. A much nicer time than the randomizer, for sure. So this escape pod over here is where you're supposed to go with Andreas on the tutorial mission. One of 3 spots the escape pod can spawn, this being kind of the worst one.
Warning. 1 escape pod remaining. Please evacuate in an orderly fashion.
I'll just get the gates over here. EMP the thing, and then hop on inside. Put in the escape pod navigation chip. Don't want to forget that.
Material detected.
And we're launching out of here.
If you forget the chip, do you just like die? Is it fail?
You can't use the escape pod if you don't have that.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't find the fabrication, if you don't buy one and bring it in with you, then you have to go fabricate it, and that is real slow. We're just gonna give him a little bit of a safety pack. We're gonna try to do the same slide that we did with Claire, but every now and then that will push you inside the map and back into the crater. So you want to have a way to EMP the gate if that does happen. So a pistol, 1 thing of ammo, and then a control module is our little safety pack.
Warning.
So we're gonna make use of this chair one more time. See if we can find the setup again. It's actually pretty tricky to find. That is not where we need to be. Might just run it. I'm just gonna give it a try, see what happens. Woo! Okay, so well, it got a slide, but it did exactly what I feared. And while we brought safety stuff, it pushed us back into the crater. It's perfectly fine.
I got my eyes locked on that corruption, man. It's getting spooky.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't hit corruption level 5, we are good.
Okay.
Because it's already been repaired and hacked, the portal's just open for us, so like we just have to run in. Nothing can really stop us. It will get a little bit spookier if it does happen, but ultimately won't mean much. Always gotta love when the door closes on your face. Alright, so we nice. Okay. Just gonna close that behind us so nothing sneaks up on us. Open it, stabilize it, and out we go. So that's his escape method. It's the one that he prefers. Unlocks the story. Now all we have left, we should get a cutscene here. Yep. Really the last cutscene we're going to see before the end is we have Riley's story, Claire's story, and Andreas' story. Because we just have to do the story objective, we don't need to escape with these characters, meaning as soon as we do this and we set up the next character, we can just go ahead and die. We do have to do a little bit of an interaction here. But there's a really interesting mechanic with character deaths in this that we haven't experienced because we just haven't died. If you die in the crater, the game will put your next character that you bring in back at the starting spawn room where we did the chair clip and everything. But if you die in one of the 3 areas, you spawn in that area with the next character for some reason. I don't really know why. And because all these characters can die after they do their story, we're going to do their story and then go to where the next one needs to start and then die there. So it like kind of sets things up in a cascade fashion. It's like a really interesting mechanic that we get to abuse that most of the time you just want to think about. And we talked about Riley's story before. It is stupidly short, as long as you know what you're doing. A lot of these characters are not going to bring in a lot of materials. We did the 5-man escape, so it just force restarts the sim. So you have no more playable characters. Here, let's restart it for you. Okay, so Riley's going to bring in a pistol, a little bit of ammo, and then 4 control modules, and that is it. Now we reset the sim. The power to the train and the power to one of the 3 areas gets re-rolled. Can be down. It probably will be down. So Riley's going to fix the power, start her quest, which is also where the power happens to be. We're going to check ahead of time in Moonworks. Okay, that is really nice luck. There's 2/3 chance that Claire's route is going to be the fast one. If the train is down in Crew Annex, then you get kind of a slower route with her, so that's nice. Somebody I see in chat asked about if there's any cool out of bounds with like the shuttle. I've never found one. There's not really anything you can do there, but there's a nice little jump that we got to do on the very last one to speed things up just a small bit. It's not an out of bounds or anything, but just kind of a cool trick. I imagine if you did clip out there, then you would just fall into the void and die. It's more than likely what would happen. So I can't even see like the LED screen, so I can't see if the power's down. We're just gonna have to manually check. See what's down here. Oh, there's a poltergeist. Poltergeists usually aren't harmful at all, but they're just really obnoxious. Okay. Restore the power. Now we gotta go up and do her story. Gotta find the pink brain. This guy's having a bad day.
Hey, Riley.
So to complete her story, all you have to do is put in 2 control modules here and pull the switch. That's it.
You're new, aren't you?
Oh, wow.
Well,
Yeah, you were not kidding.
Your shuttle arrived.
It is really short. I think it's supposed to teach you kind of about control modules and this whole mechanic here.
Unremarkable grant projects.
That will also kill off all the Typhon in the area, including the moon sharks, so we don't have to EMP the gates.
didn't mean.
It's Madam Director.
So I guess she's supposed to be one of the early
Choose one.
characters.
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, you still have to do her escape and everything to get to that, so
Yeah.
I'm unsure. So now we're going to set up Claire's story by coming into Moonworks, and then we're going to die, but when you die, you spawn a phantom on your body. We're just going to go into the corner, open up the menu, and then slump on over. Take a nice little nap. Okay, find Claire. She's also going to bring in a pistol, a bit of ammo, and 4 control modules. 2 to repair the train, potentially, and then 2 more for potential EMPs. But Claire's story involves running around the place. It actually didn't spawn a phantom. Sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes the phantom's like out of bounds. I don't know. It's kind of a weird mechanic. She has 3 transmitters she needs to track down and destroy. There's one here in our hideout. There's one in the crater right where we found Riley's story, and then there's one over in Crew Annex. Another brutal cutscene to start off this one.
Claire, this is Basilisk.
Another reason to love the
Orbital intercept
psychostatic cutter.
M13 tells us there is elevated activity on all TranStar security channels.
What a way to start.
We think you've been compromised. We need you to destroy all
that one up.
evidence of your operations. I'll contact you soon with further
compulsion.
instructions. Basilisk out.
One thing I love about the psychostatic cutter is just pulling out and getting the little flip animation. It's so cool. Okay. Train is down by control modules this time. Cool. From here, all we need to do is go to Crew Annex, pick up our second transmitter, and then head back to the crater for the third. The big problem with the transmitters is you have to recycle them. So if you have a recycling grenade, it comes in real handy a lot of the times. But this is routed to put you right by a recycler in the crater. If you have the other route with Claire, you have to do kind of a reverse route where you go crater first to Crew Annex, which is pretty annoying because the recycler is not by the one in Crew Annex. We also got to do a little bit of a jump. So we have mobility 2. Just jump up in this little hole. And we're going to hack in here. So because it's corruption level 1, it's only 1 hack. Pretty easy to do.
You wanted to see me? Ah, yes. Officer Bhatia. Come in. You have a son in the AIL, is that right? Yes, sir. That's right. You must be proud of him.
Yeah, because there's a lot of Typhon around here. We're just going to drop down a control module.
Security team one day.
Oh yeah, that's close enough.
I'm sure he'd be honored.
The blast is actually pretty big.
Was there something you needed?
You know, I'd say at least above average size.
I like that about you, Vijay. Here. Whoa.
Back to the crater.
Warning.
I forgot we have the dust flying around.
Experiencing dust storm conditions. Please secure a breathing apparatus and remain indoors until the issue is resolved.
We just need to get to this top part. And kind of climb your way up those little support beams. Sliding too much. All right, our third transmitter is right up here. And our recycler is right there.
No.
Look at that.
First time. Am I that obvious?
And to pipe this we go, we need to head to Riley's office. One more control module for the road.
Operator using TranStar's emulation tech. OC is fairly certain she'll launch the operation.
Yeah, now we're kind of seeing why Riley's chair was sabotaged and why it was set to kill her once things got copied over. That's actually at the hands of Claire. So the cool thing about the story is as you go through the different characters and advance the different plots, you kind of unravel the story. I have no use for that time loop. Talk about that with Andreas. It really doesn't matter at this point at all. But hey, yeah, why not use it? We're just about done with Claire's story. All we have to do is go up to Riley's office, plant the arming key, and then run away. And just like how we set up Claire with Riley in terms of dying in the area that we need to be, we're going to do the same for Andreas, but he actually needs it to be in Pythias. But Claire's story requires that you leave.
Claire.
So we're going to leave and then immediately come back.
OC is They're saying they can't dedicate any assets for dust-off, and there's just nothing I can do. I'm sorry. You're on your own. Basilisk out.
Take a couple more spins in. Okay, so we are going to check our chasm orders real quick. What we should have left is the 2 stories, scans the psychoscope, and then potentially neuromods. Okay. So if you complete 26 out of 27 of the chasm orders, you get an extra cutscene saying, "Oh, you're almost there. You know, hurry up. You're so close." If you go from 25 to all of them completed, so 27, you skip that and go straight to the final cutscene. So we leave behind scanning the 5 Typhon. We have to scan a couple. We scan the Weaver and the Phantom Body. But we leave that one because it's pretty easy to do with Andreas as our final one to do alongside his story. Sometimes you get control modules met, or neuromods met, and sometimes you don't. Doesn't matter. You can buy a whole bunch. It's the last one, so you don't really need the money. So once again, we're just going to open the menu, abort the run, slump over.
That's actually something I was going to ask a lot earlier. Does the money, do you just have like a set amount of money every single time, or does it like actually go up and down? I haven't.
So you get money based on what you do per run. So finding stuff, control module, or fabrication plans, chipsets give you a certain amount of money, and then completing chasm orders gives you some as well.
Okay, so it's possible to farm money. Just there's not like a max amount of money.
No.
That you have. Okay, I was curious about that.
Yeah, nothing behind. Okay, so the reason Andreas is saved for last is for a couple of reasons. One, it kind of just works out with the routing in terms of, you know, you end up here right at the start. And also his quest line does some weird stuff with the Typhon. Once you start his story up, which is in this chamber, you get mind controlled by a telepath who pretends to be your son, asking you to go get his favorite toy. He's such a beautiful little boy. What you don't realize with this usually is this bumps you up to corruption level 4. And because you're mind controlled by this, Typhon that would normally be aggressive become passive to you, and then operators and turrets become aggressive. So it becomes a lot easier to scan the Typhon when they're passive and we're running past them. We also save it for last because it does bump us up to corruption level 4. We don't have to worry about bringing in other characters and being on such a high corruption, or potentially going to corruption level 5. So it just kind of works out to save him for last.
So many. I think about you and my toy all the time.
That's interesting that they don't
It's what you want.
do like the,
Find my toy.
you know, disguise the Typhon as a kid. They're just like, nope, it's this thing, mind controlling you.
Yeah, they don't really care for the passive storytelling. They're just going to tell you. All right, we're just going to install some extra neuromods to get the chasm order met. It doesn't really matter what we do here. We should have just the 3 or the 2 remaining. So this one's going to get checked off once we close it, and we have to scan 3 more Typhon along the way. We're going to get 1 here. He doesn't want to be my friend. Okay. Oh, it's a mimic. Cool.
Dang. Giving you the business.
Just gotta get out of my way. You do have to be a little bit afraid of operators. On corruption level 4, they do a lot of damage. Also, things like cystoids, because they're not really intelligent at all, will still attack you and follow you, even though they are Typhon, which is kind of obnoxious, but it is what it is. Ooh. Okay. So we need 1 more Typhon scan. And where is this toy spawns? It's going to be either in Koreanix or Moonworks. It's in Koreanix, okay. There's another 8 spawns here for Koreanix, for Moonworks. Moonworks is, once again, kind of the worst because it can spawn all the way at the top by the mass driver start, which is just another awful climb to do. Koreanix usually has pretty safe spawns.
Last week's basketball
Really use some
tournament was
food,
a
actually.
big success. The Lunatics took the trophy again, winning
I gotta
against
scan
the
off one of
Traitors.
these.
That makes 3 consecutive victories for the security folks. I also want to mention the Phantoms are still looking for a few players to fill out their
Oh my
roster.
goodness.
As always, please see Mr. Safra in the crew annex to sign up or reserve gym time.
No, okay.
Oh no.
That is fine-ish. Give me a 1 second. So you do get a soft checkpoint by entering the level. So all the progress we really lost there is just scanning that one cystoid, which is not a big deal. I just didn't think the operator was going to latch on so quickly on the other side of the map. Gotta wait for the game to boot back up. Luckily, this game is pretty quick on boot up times.
This is a security reminder.
Okay.
All
Also, if an enemy's like voltaic or thermal, their passive ability, just running past them, will still hurt you. I just want the telepath. I don't necessarily want the ballistic turret here. There we go. Nope. Scan the one thing I'm looking at. Hello? Alright, scan the turret. Fine. Thank you. That thing is freaking out. Okay. So now the only order we should have left to complete is Andreas' story. A little bit of music. Very quick toy pickup. Just double check the Chasma orders. Just really make sure. Yeah, so we just have this one left to go. Pick up a little food. Be safe. It's also important to note, because we're in this like telepath state and everything's passive to us, if we start killing off Typhon, our son's just gonna kill us. So we don't want to fight the Typhon at all if we can help it. And Andreas has a lot of abilities that are kind of area of effect. So he has like a big blast that will take out a lot of the operators, but it'll also kill off a lot of the Typhon as well. Gotta be real careful on that. I think you can kill one and he kind of gives you a warning like, hey, don't do that. I'm serious. Don't mess around. And then it's over. So all we have to do to finish up this story and the last anti-rads, really awesome, is run down to the escape pod bay and give him back his toy. Which sounds easy, but depending on what's in here, it could be a little bit of a gauntlet. Okay. The operator died. That's awesome. So if you're wondering why I'm a little wobbly running, it's because of the radiation poisoning. It drains your stamina faster, and it makes you very wobbly. Oh, actually not cystoids up here. Alright, just gotta EMP the gates. EMPing this gate's really important because you don't want to fight Typhon, especially if there's like a Weaver or something here, because it will kill you. Don't really want to fight him. Okay. Wait for the door to close. Just gonna finish up the story with a very mind-blowing twist. It's actually like really cool.
I'm so proud of you.
Give his toy back.
I can't tell if that's a pun or not. I'm waiting. I want to find out.
No, definitely not.
Okay, got it.
Definitely not a pun. That's all 27 Chasm orders, which means we're going back to the satellite. Done all we needed to do. Now they're going to try to dispose of us. So normally what you're supposed to do is wait for gravity to kick off and then you fly up to the exit. But that takes a little bit of time, like 15 seconds or so. So I'm just going to grab the key. Jump up here. Do a nice little jump to the top. put in the key, and then we want to decommission our little satellite here. We're just going to crash it into the moon. Once we decommission it, that will be time. And that's it. That's how you beat MoonCrash in under an hour and a half. Just barely. Whew.
Easy.
Easy peasy. Yeah, it turns out Cosmo was going to betray it the whole time. Crazy, I know. They just wanted all the data from the moon itself. They wanted to make sure it got recovered. And then they're going to send you just off into space. Instead, we crash into the moon base.
Oh, no.
Whatever's going to happen. This run wasn't the worst luck imaginable. Some pretty awful spawns on certain things, but overall it balanced out pretty nicely. No propulsion's always a big sad. But we didn't forget anything. We didn't have to reset any characters, which is all right in my book. So if you're interested in Prey Randomizer or this at all, I would highly recommend checking out MoonCrash first. It is like a gateway into Randomizer. You do this, kind of get your feet wet, kind of realize what can spawn, understand the loot tables, just kind of how to get around different places. And then once you've done that and you're still feeling masochistic, then I'd recommend moving to the Randomizer mod. A little bit of a cliffhanger, you know. Whoa, 2 dolls. Whoa, what could that mean? That is indeed all 27 Chasma orders for Prey MoonCrash and the story completed. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and being awesome. I do plan on making a tutorial for Prey MoonCrash. The one I have currently is super outdated, and it's a pretty complex run, so I'm working on getting that out soon. If you do want to learn the speedrun for this, if you want to learn how to speedrun Prey Randomizer, just play a lot of Prey Randomizer. It is a very hard thing to teach. But if you search up the mod, there is a Discord where you can ask around in. You can ask me. I'm glad to help share my knowledge. Same with this. If you're interested in Prey MoonCrash, I am more than happy to share what knowledge I can. I do have some notes on like the order to bring characters in and like their shopping list of things to buy. I also speedrun plenty of other games if you're looking for more content to watch. I'll be speedrunning Bioshock 80% at HDQ come 2 weeks from now, a week and a half, something like that. Something crazy. Yeah. Do all the Bioshocks, all the Dooms. Used to run Fallout, Wolfenstein, these games, Amnesia, Penumbra, Soma. Just tons and tons of stuff. So if you're looking for some speedruns of the FPS horror or puzzle variety, stream every night except for Monday, 8 p.m. to like 4 a.m. typically. So if you're up now, it's a good time to come watch. If you're looking for more Prey MoonCrash speedruns, plenty on my YouTube. I currently hold the record at 58 minutes. Just a little bit lower than this. Is a pretty lucky run. You can find that over there as well. So also a lot of Prey Randomizer things with different settings turned on, all nightmares, really insane settings that you should never use, keycard rando, stuff like that. So thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast. Sadly, the Prey Rando didn't go quite the way I was expecting, but hey, got to deal with the seed you're dealt.
Randos are like that.
They are indeed.